So it was my understanding that we had some confusion yesterday about calculating the MAD, which is the mean absolute deviation, in calculating regular mean. When you're calculating the mean, just the mean, you're calculating somebody's average. But when you're calculating the MAD, you're calculating to see which set of data is more consistent. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this opener together. If you pay attention to this and follow the process chart that's hanging to the right hand side of where you're standing or sitting, you should be okay with calculating the MAD. So the first thing is to read the question. The following table shows 100-meter times for Sarah and Jack. They are trying to find out who is more consistent. They are not asking who is faster. They are asking who is the most consistent. It's two totally different questions. To find out who is the most consistent runner, they're going to need to calculate the MAD. Normally in these types of questions, you're not going to be given that. Okay, but if you see the word consistent or who is more consistent, you're going to have to calculate the MAD. So who is the most consistent runner? That's what we're going to try to find. So we have two different people. We have Sarah and Jack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate Sarah and Jack. So two totally different people. We're going to find who is the most consistent. So we're going to start with Sarah. What do we have to do for step 1? If you look over at the process chart, it says find the average or the mean of the data set. So we need to find the mean of Sarah's times. These are seconds, by the way. So 13 plus 14 plus 12. Then we're going to divide all that by the number of data points. Luckily, there's 3. I'm going to change my colors. Let's look at Jack. We're going to do the exact same thing for Jack. So Jack had 9, 11, and 6. So I'm going to take 9 plus 11 plus 6. Then I'm going to divide by 3. So what I'm going to have Miss Spiteri do is stop this tape right now, and I want you to calculate that on your own. Alright, so Sarah has a mean of 13. Jack has a mean of 8.66. Now if you wrote all the 6's, you don't have to write all the 6's. So if you just have 8.66, I'd be okay with that. For what we're going to do together, let's just keep it at 8.66. So, looking at the average of who was faster was Jack, but that's not the question. Okay, the question is who is more consistent. So that's what we have to calculate the MAD. So let's look at step number 2. Step number 2 says subtract the number you found in step 1 from each data point. So every single data point for Sarah, we're going to subtract that from what we found in step 1, which was 13. So for Sarah, her times, I'll change the colors, were 13, 14, and 12. For each one of those, I'm going to subtract it from the mean that we found here. So subtract 13, subtract 13, subtract 13. That's all that means for step number 2. What we're going to have to actually do is calculate those in a minute. For Jack, his data values were 9, 11, and 6. 9, 11, 6. We're going to subtract that from the 8.66. Subtract 8.66. Subtract 8.66. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate those. I want you to figure out what these 6 things are going to be. So Ms. Spiteri can stop the video while you guys calculate that, and we'll check your answers here in a minute. Okay, so 13 minus 13 is, I'll change my color, 0. 14 minus 13 is 1. 12 minus 13 is negative 1, but if you read the hint, it says all values need to be positive, so remove all negative signs. So this would be negative 1. I'm just going to remove it right away and make it a positive 1. So for Jack, his should be 0.34, 2.34, and 0.66 when you subtract those. Hopefully you used your calculator for that. So this is step 2. You're done with step 2. Step 3, what does it say? Find the average or the mean of all the values found in step 2. We're doing the mean again, but now we're doing the mean with these numbers right here. Okay, so find the mean. What do? We add the data values, divide by how many we have. So in our case here, for Sarah, it's 0 plus 1 plus 1, all divided by, we have 1, 2, 3, all divided by 3. For Jack, it's 0.34 plus 2.34 plus 0.66 divided by 3. So I'm going to have Miss Spateri again stop the clock, or stop the tape, and then I want you to calculate those two for me. Alright, so for Sarah, 0 plus 1 is 2. 2 divided by 3 is we'll just say 0.66 repeated. For Jack, all of this winds up being 1.11. Now I'm going to box those two in because if you read the next step, step 4, the answer that you got here is the MAD. This is Sarah's MAD. This is Jack's MAD. The closer the MAD is to 0, the more consistent the data. Well, let's look at those 2 points right there. Ask yourself, which one of these is closer to 0? In this case, Sarah's MAD is closer to 0. Therefore, who is the most consistent runner? The answer is Sarah. So for the MAD, it's not who's faster. We don't care who's faster. We don't care who's better. We don't care who had the higher average. We don't care who had the highest mode. We don't care what the median number is. To calculate the MAD, we're just seeing who or what is most consistent. Most consistent means stays even. Doesn't go too high, doesn't go too low. It just stays even. Well, to calculate the MAD, it's the one that's closest to 0. Now, hopefully this will help you in calculating MAD questions.